Hello guys, my name is Anna and I'm from Ukraine, and as I record this video we have a really long air raid alarm and explosions in many parts of my country, including capital Kyiv. I vlog daily to keep you updated on the real-life situation in Ukraine and to remind you that this war continues. And even though I'm confident in Ukrainian victory, every day we go through so many things that sometimes it's really difficult to stay super optimistic. And please forgive, these days have been a little bit difficult for me. And perhaps I want to speak about one of the things that many Ukrainians are worried about, and that is the fact that this war is going to be long, and Russia wants this war to be as long as possible. Of course, when it all began almost a year ago on the 24th of February, no one believed it will take so long. On news everywhere, we were talking about like 2-3 weeks, then 2-3 months. Now we realize that even if we start like winning day after day, it will take months to get Russians out of Ukraine. And Russians who realize that blitzkrieg is impossible, that Ukraine is strong, people are confident, and we are 100% definite in the fact that no negotiations are possible, and only on the battlefield we can return back our territories and return back our normality. Russians realize that they will exhaust Ukraine, and together with Ukraine its allies. And there are lots of symptoms that actually prove that. First of all, they had their mobilization in autumn, and 300,000 new orcs joined Russian army. Now they start another wave of mobilization and plan to get, it seems to me, 500,000, 500,000. In general, their idea is to have 2 million men, 2 million orcs serving in Russian army. And that is a lot. Taking into account that Russians do not care about their people, lives of their soldiers, lives of their families, and so on, they will be ready to use these people just as numbers, just as zombies. And of course, they outnumber us because they have 140 million inhabitants, and Ukraine has 38 or something. Then, also, they use prisoners as a resource. Russia is the country that has the largest number of state prisoners, and it is close to 400,000. And they use them either in armies, private armies like Wagner Group, or they make them work on various plants and factories that produce weapons and things that are needed for war. Of course, it goes against all the rules, all the international norms, because this is kind of obligatory work in the military field that it seems to me should not be done that way. Plus, many prisoners go to front lines without being blessed to do so. So they have huge human resources. They want 2 million army, then they have 500,000 prisoners. Then they don't care about people, and they have this very awful and very famous saying that Putin often repeats, our women, and they use a disrespectful word for that, baby, our women will give birth to new ones. So if this die, not a problem, because our women will give birth to new ones. With this kind of attitude, they can continue this war for years, because they honestly do not care about life and health, not only of their soldiers, but also of their citizens. Also, inheriting it from Soviet Union, Russia has a huge industrial military complex, and they are using it to build good or bad missiles, tanks, machines. They are able to cooperate with countries like Iran, with countries like North Korea, with other allies, or even with those who sell them details or things that are needed in this hidden format so that we don't even know. And as a result, they are able to produce new weapons and use them on Ukraine. Ukrainian infrastructure is destroyed. We don't have normal plants working, the one where salt is produced, for example, or chicken factories or other things. And we did not have a huge military complex because we are a country that was demilitarized actively, also including by Russia after Budapest Memorandum and other papers like that, agreements that should have never been signed. So they have a huge military complex where they can build weapons and then throw them on Ukraine. And in Ukraine, we don't have that. And that is also like a serious problem if we take into account the longevity of this war. And also another sign that Russia is going to play along, they have forbidden their men to leave the country. So to some extent, this is a normal martial law, because Russian men are forbidden to leave the country, and they can be invited to the battalions of zombies and then sent to Ukraine. And like we know that Russians are really bad at protesting or demonstrating, and in general they support their president, they support the idea of war with Ukraine, so they will join this battalions, and as a result there will be huge numbers of new orcs coming to Ukraine. So I do understand that we have the support of the world, that we are brave, and that we are fighting for a good thing. Like it goes without saying, for everything good, for freedom and independence of our country. But we also understand that Russia is really big, and they have millions of people they are ready to sacrifice for the sake of Putin's idea to recreate Soviet Union and to erase Ukrainian nation and identity. Also, they are able to produce some weapons. We are not. We do have the support of our allies, but sometimes it takes long. For example, air defense systems like Patriot, it took like months we were asking for them, like thousands of people died, thousands of buildings destroyed, thousands of plants and factories that could have been used in this war destroyed. And sometimes we need things before Russians act. And we always get them like a couple of months after Russians act. And as a result, we are not able to stop them or to actively like prevent all of these actions. And we realize that when a new huge attack happens, we will get new huge support. But like it is better when we are able to slowly take them out of our territory and to demonstrate that we are not losing anything. And this year is very decisive because many things can change in the US politics, in the European politics, taking into account war fatigue. All of that together can lead to the fact that Russians, everybody knows that they are evil, black salt people who want to erase a normal and beautiful country in the center of Europe. Everyone understands that Putin is criminal, evil, terrorist. And then, like, it continues for years and nothing happens. And then we can simply die because there are not so many of us. Like, you know, the country is not that big, not that many people. And if support is slow, or if people run out of enthusiasm and desire to help, money and so on, it may happen that something really bad will take place here. And as a result, this darkness will spread further to the countries of Baltic, to Poland, to Czech Republic, I don't know, to Finland, and so on. I'm not trying to frighten you or to send a bad message, because like I'm 100% sure that we will win. But we have to understand that we must be very mobilized, and we must be very quick in our reactions, because the longer this war continues, the more Ukrainians die, the more resources of our allies are exhausted, and the more dangers are cast on the planet with all these orcs doing whatever they want to nuclear power stations and so on. That's why it is vital to start working even harder, supporting each other even harder, and to understand that numbers of Russians that are ready to die in Ukraine and the long period of this war, they play against us. And our task is to stop it as soon as possible, and to be like very persistent in all of our efforts. And I know that you are people like that, so please speak to those who doubt, speak to those who are tired, and tell them that we have to win this war. And only after we stop Putin, after we stop Russian orcs, after we stop them like forever, only then we can relax and finally feel tired, sad, or whatever we want. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for buying me coffees. Thank you for becoming my patrons. And most importantly, thank you for being with Ukraine in this fight. Slava Ukraini!